right? The dream.
You alive. All right. Black Box Radio. Listen, I am so excited. I got my digital passport today. And, we really don't come on Sundays, but this is International Sundays, and it's the last one of the year. And so I'm so excited to be able to travel via technology and meet Black people because, we're Black Box Radio. We are Black 24, 365. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and we disseminate information, not only to the Black community, but to all communities. But more than anything, we are Black centered. We're authentic space for a Black face. So that's what we do 6 to 9 times a month. So check us out. Please go to our website at blackboxradio.com, but also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. This video and any of our content that we have there, please check it out. Black up the algorithm. Leave a comment because we're really trying to get in the algorithm. We're a grassroots platform, but we really are trying to love on Black people and talk about the things that we experience together with others in the environment. And now we about to travel, y'all. We about to get up out of the States and we're going to Malaysia. And this is our second time in Malaysia. And we got this beautiful lady. You see us sitting there, and we're about to talk to Cha Jones. Say hi to the people.
Hey y'all. How y'all doing? It's early for me. So
Tell us the time. What time is it in Malaysia?
it's 9 a.m. and
Okay.
it's Monday morning. So y'all have Sunday evening. But
Yes.
I'm already in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the future. What kind of weather's in Malaysia?
So it's about right now. It's about 80 something in the
What?
oh
Degrees?
it says 69 right now, but it'll probably be about 87 today.
Once 12 o'clock
Yeah.
noon and all of that. Wow, high sun.
hmm
Wow, 87. So does it get cold?
No, it's tropic. So
Oh wow.
it's probably that 69 is probably as cold as it's gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you something. It gotta be some Black people over there if it's hot, baby. We do blood, we do heat. Oh, I love that.
Listen,
I love that.
listen. I can't do too much heat. I left Mexico because it was way too hot for the girl. I can't. That was hell hot.
It's too hot, but y'all hear her. She left Mexico. That means she traveled. You see, she's showing out. She left Mexico went to Malaysia. I love it. So kind of tell us, Cha, about you and where you're from, because you are from the States. You're a Yankee. So kind of tell us where you're from, where you grew up, and how did you get to Southeast Asia? Just give us that, and then we're gonna jump into what you do.
Okay, so absolutely. I am originally from Omaha, Nebraska. And yes, there are Black people in Nebraska and from Nebraska. And I will give you some greats:
Mm,
Malcolm X, Gail
mm,
Sayers,
he
Kathy
sure
Hughes,
is.
Gabrielle Union.
Kathy Hughes is from there. That's a
Yeah,
Baltimore girl. Yeah, she in Baltimore
yeah.
now. Yeah.
So those are just a few. Terrence Crawford,
Mm.
the football player. I mean, shit,
Boxing.
the boxer. I'm like, what?
And you
Just
cursing.
throwing
I
stuff
love it.
out
She
there.
black, y'all. She black.
But yeah. So there are Black people from Nebraska, and I am actually one of them. By way of, I've lived in Arizona, Tennessee, North Carolina,
Oh wow.
DC.
Wow.
And so I actually moved from the States to Korea in 2009. That was my first stint in Southeast Asia. Well, not Southeast Asia, but Asia.
Asia.
And
Wow.
so I lived there for 3.5 years. Then I had a head-on collision when I was traveling back to the U.S. on vacation the day before I was supposed to go back for my third contract. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to grad school and study international education, intercultural communications. And
Mhm.
so lived in Vermont. And yeah, I've traveled to about 28 countries, lived
Oh,
in Mexico during the pandemic, just left there last year or earlier. Yeah,
mm.
early last year. and traveled a couple more countries just to see where I wanted to live. And I thought about living in Thailand. And so I put my plan together for Thailand, but they had burning season last year. And I ended up in Malaysia. And
What
I
kind of
have been,
season? Wait, stop. What kind of season?
so it's like when they burn the crops from
Oh,
harvest. So they burn down the stock to get ready for the new season and the
the new
new harvest.
season. Okay.
Um, and so that the wind blows that,
Mm-hmm.
it's more in the mountain areas, but it'll blow into the city. So the air quality is not great. So I didn't want to be breathing that because I don't need no asthma or no other, bronchial
Yeah.
issues. So I stopped in Kuala Lumpur, and I had been here about 12 years ago. I came here right after Christmas and spent like a week. And it was a totally different Kuala Lumpur. It was now it's quite massive. There's a lot of traffic, people. Then I was like, is this a ghost town? What's going on? And there was high rises and things, but it just wasn't as bustling as it is now, 12 years
Mm.
later. So we stopped, we stayed, and that's
Mm.
that's how I got here.
That's how you got there. So, what do they speak in Malaysia?
So they so Malaysian,
Malay.
they
So it's called
speak
Malaysian.
Malay.
Okay.
They speak in
Malay. Okay.
Malaysia. They're Malaysian and they
Hmm.
speak Malay, but then they
Malay.
also have this if you didn't ask me, I would be able to tell you, but it's the name, it starts with B. And that is the official language most people speak.
Okay.
But about 80% of the people speak English because it was a colonized country.
Okay.
So England actually colonized until like 50 years ago.
Okay. So they do speak English, but they're most people speak Malay. So you don't
Right.
really you don't have a lot of language barrier in
No,
Malaysia.
and that's one of the greatest things about living here is that there isn't really, I don't ever pull out a translator.
Mm.
I did the other day for a young girl, like I was trying to say foil because I was cooking. And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know. Do y'all call it something else? Maybe aluminum. I don't know." So I just pulled it up, and then she's like, "Ah, okay, come on." And so I was like, "All right." But that's the first time I ever pulled out my translator since I've been here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So when it comes to language, it's a seamless transition for you. So
Absolutely.
that's a good thing. Mm. So that's how you got to Malaysia. So you went to about 20, almost 30 countries, and now you
Mhm.
landed in Malaysia. Is there another move, or is this it?
I would like to stay here for 2 years because I
Okay.
have a community that I'm growing here. But
Mm-hmm.
listen, I'm a Taurus / Gemini, and I go where my spirit leads me, and when it's time to go, I
Oh,
go. And so I don't know. I don't think this is the forever place, if that's what we're asking. And I
okay.
don't know
So
if I have a forever place.
because I just always wonder, like, if you are expat, is it something like, are you like a person just keep okay, I stay here for 2 years, I move more for 2 years, or do I just keep moving, or it's just you really looking for another home? So are you looking to continue to travel and explore new places?
I will continue to travel. I
Sure.
do want to go other places. However, I'm always looking for home because I want to be grounded. So I like
Yes.
having a permanent place to live. I'm not nomadic. I used to because I
Yes.
used to have the tagline nomadic chick. I'm not that because I do want to have some permanency in my
Okay.
life where I can be rooted in
All right.
something.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to travel. I will always travel. I've been traveling since I was 6 months old, and
Wow.
I don't know anything else other than travel in the sense of like when my spirit speaks to me, it's like, yo, you gotta go, or
Mm.
go explore this. Even when I lived in the States, I've it's 50 states. I've been to like 40, I think 43, 44.
Whoa.
Um, and you know, I just I love to travel.
Yeah, you love to travel. I'm in the States. I don't think I've been to 10. Honestly. I'll be honest. I'm thinking about it now. I never thought about it till you just said
Okay,
that.
Queen, we gotta get you up. We gotta get you
I
up
mean,
out and
I'm
do
up and down the
something.
East Coast. The East Coast I've killed. But like, I'm not really interested in the Utah and Oregon, and we just talked about the syllables. I want to go where I want to go where I feel safe. First of all, listen, we Black people, so you got to be first. We have to be mindful of my skin, and I'm very clear that I don't want to be in a lot of places, and so mid U.S. is not something that I'm very interested in. I can visit, but the Utah and the Idaho. I don't know about that, but like
Can you name
California, been to
places I
California.
haven't been? I
And
haven't
all
been to
Black people been to
Utah.
Vegas, Megan. We've been to Vegas.
I've been to Vegas.
Yeah,
I
everybody
haven't
been to
been to
Vegas.
Utah. I haven't been to Idaho. No, I've been to
Okay.
Idaho. I haven't been to Wyoming. I haven't.
Wyoming,
I
Washington
haven't.
State. I haven't been
I've been to
there.
Washington State.
Yeah.
But see,
Yeah.
this is the thing. There's no place I can't go because
Mm,
it's mine to see, explore.
mm,
Like, so I don't look at it like, and I'm not scared. I'm not scared of places where they be like, oh, this is the lynch shit. I'm not scared of that. Like when I lived in Louisiana,
mm.
I was all through Mississippi and probably at the wrong times of the and everything
No
because
way. No way.
I,
MISSI,
you
SSI,
can't tell me I
PPI.
can't go across the street. I'm going. Sorry. I'm like, whatever. I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking. And because I don't live in that fear, it doesn't phase me. And even if that's going on, I'm protected. So I'm not worried about that.
Okay. I love how you look. I like how you think. uh, in part of it, I grew up in born in New York, but grew up in South Carolina, and South Carolina is a very southern state, and there was a lot of racial tensions when I grew up, and so I went to college in Maryland, in Baltimore, and that's where I've been. And Baltimore is a 67% Black city, and so you get very acclimated with Black people. The Northeast is very Black, and it's not that you have to be around Black people because we have to explore the world. I think it's very important. But when I want to explore outside of the states because of the United States got the same type of culture everywhere, more or less. I want to go to a place like say a Southeast Asia or definitely Africa. I can visit Europe, but I really think I live in Europe. But definitely, I would love to go in other places, and I want to go to like Madagascar. That's some place I want to visit. I want to go past Africa to Madagascar. I want to go to Morocco. So it's places I do want to visit, but I don't particularly. I'm not trying to go to Utah. I'm okay. I'm definitely okay.
I heard
So,
it's beautiful. Like,
uh-huh. So is my backyard. Sis, I ain't doing that. So unless I'm going with a group of people and we're exploring, but that's not a place where I want to go by myself and not really because I don't know anyone in Utah. I'm not really good. It takes a lot of balls to me to just jump up and go somewhere like so. I'm very impressed with you because it takes how do you just leave your familiar and just go and say, okay, I'm gonna live in Mexico. How do you do that?
you just do it. Like you just make a decision. You got to
Mm,
make a conscious decision that you know what I want to see something different. And
mm-hmm.
the first time I ever went abroad was when I moved to Korea. Sight
Mm,
unseen, never had been to Korea. It wasn't a scouting trip. They hired me. I got on a plane. They paid for the ticket. I arrived. Had never been outside of the continental US other than to like I had been to I've been to Hawaii and I had been
okay.
to uh I can't San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico,
So
all the
um
U.S.
I had been throughout the US. I had
Yeah.
never been abroad. And I literally was living in North Carolina and sat on my couch and said, Universe, I want to see the world. Like that's what I want to see. And I
Yeah.
literally woke up a couple hours later after taking a nap and had a recruiter that had reached out to me with the email asking me to look at an opportunity of teaching and moving to South Korea. I looked at it. I was like, this is amazing. I ain't doing this, and I deleted it. Like, no, child, no. And 2 days later, my girlfriend calls me and was like, okay, sit down. Now, you're the only person I know crazy enough to do this with me, but I want to go move to Japan, and I'm not going without you. And so this is the deal. We're going to go see the world. I said, okay, God, really? And so I was like, okay, Japan, why Japan? She was like, Japan is this, is that. And so I said, well, send me the information. I applied. The recruiter called me and was like, hey, can we talk? I said, sure. We did our little interview. And she said, listen, I'm going to hire you on spot. I want to prepare you for what this looks like. But I do want to tell you that we don't have any more jobs in Japan. Would you be interested in going to Korea? And so I started laughing. I said, okay, God obviously wants me to go to Korea. And
Yes.
I believe in synchronicity. So, okay, I'm down. So I was like, yeah. So she, sent me all the paperwork, and I had to start preparing. I had to go get apostles and things like that from the State Department. So I traveled to Raleigh to get some stamps, and then I started packing on all my stuff. And 2 months later, I arrived in Seoul. Never have been there. I was never scared. And then my silly self, just I watched Taken the night that, because I was trying to stay up.
That's the wrong movie to watch.
Movie to be watching,
Yeah, that's
but
the wrong movie
it
to
also
watch.
gave me insight on like what not to do, and how to like
Oh
just
my gosh,
to
Taken.
maintain my composure in certain situations. And so I arrived, and I've never looked back. And I
Mm.
went to China by myself. I went to Japan by myself. I came to Malaysia with someone. So I've traveled to more countries by myself than not.
Hmm.
And I just get on a plane.
Ha. I'm telling you, it takes guts. I know it's just get on a plane for you because that's what you do. But for us who don't do, and one of the things too, Cha, is we are, and that's one of the things I do this for is I think we fell for the movie. And the movie is that America is the best thing in the world. There's nothing better. It's the most, and I'm not saying that it's not. What I am saying though, this is the perfect earth, and we need to experience it. That's what I'm saying. But I think we fall for the movie that is nothing better than America. So why worry about going anywhere? Um, so I think a lot of times that's what it is we get caught up in this America thing and it being the best in the world, and where else everybody wants to come here. The devil's a liar.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when I first moved to South Korea, I would get people who be like, "Why are you over there? North Korea gonna shoot South Korea down." I'm like, "What television y'all been watching?" Like,
Hey, they
all
talk
the
about Mr. Kim.
propaganda.
Mr. Kim is rough, baby. Mr. Kim in
Yeah,
North Korea, he don't play with nobody.
listen. It was just like I got all kinds of phone calls. Like, but why would you want to even go to a third world country? I was like, "Have you been to Korea? Third world?"
That's what
I was like,
everybody talks about, these third world countries. And that's the movie. It's this third world thing, as if that America is the first world and everybody else is third world. And it's a movie. It's not the truth. Because you go to these places and they're
no.
beautiful. Yeah.
And not only that, but Korea's technology is probably 10 years more
30
advanced.
years faster than the US. And
Yeah,
Japan is probably 100 years. I'm telling you,
yeah.
the technology that they're playing with, baby.
Listen,
Yeah.
like I remember when it was like 2009, and we already had the chip in the card. You could go put your bank. You know how you used to write your checks and then you do your ledger and all that.
Yeah.
Well, in Korea, you didn't be writing nothing. You had your bank ledger. You took it to the ATM. You put it in there, and it took all the things that you paid for and put it on the ledger. Like, or you could just take the ledger and give it to them, and then they would give you money. Like that would be a like deposit and withdrawal slip. Listen, it I had never seen that.
Digitization, baby.
It was
Digitization,
like,
baby.
what? You could do everything at the
Really?
ATM. You could buy stuff. No, you could you deposit, withdraw, but then you could also pay bills. You just
At the
put your phone
ATM?
number in at the ATM. This was in
Wow.
2008, in 2009. So I can only imagine what they got going on now.
That's
Like
amazing because I know
everything
the
was so
technology
important.
is yeah, that technology is first world. Japan is probably so advanced. I mean, when it comes to technical, all of the Asian countries, China. I mean, these are cashless economies. This America doesn't have nothing going on when it comes to that. So we got to kind of open up our mindset, and we got to say shout out to Kareem Jackson on set. He in the Philippines. He said, "Hey, Sister Cha, here in the Philippines
Hey,
watching. What's
that's
up,
my
Kareem?
guy.
What's up,
Yeah, y'all gotta
Kareem?"
go check him out. He got his own coffee. He pushing his coffee. Black people with coffee. Come on now,
Kareem,
Kareem.
come see Queen. Kareem, you gotta come sit down with me. We gotta talk about that coffee in Philippines, bro. DM Black Box Radio. I'm gonna holler at you. And he says, and some of us want the third world. We want to chill by a beach and have peace and joy. I agree.
Right.
I hear you, Kareem. So we got someone in the Philippines. I love these black people all over the world. We got an African in the Philippines, a brother. I love it. With coffee. Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh,
So, Chuck, kind of let's move into what you do. Global bound consulting. Let's talk about that a little. So, not only are you an expat, you're making a space for other people who want to do that, who want to move out of the US and do some good things. So let's talk about that a little bit.
absolutely. So, like I said, my expat experience started in Korea. So I've been doing this for almost 15 years, almost 16. And I originally went to teach English in Korea. And
Mm.
at the time, nobody gave me no training. They just literally, like I said, I arrived in in the
And
country.
start.
They quarantined me for 3 or 4 days, and then they was like,
Really?
He go get work." And I was like, okay. So
So you
what
had no
happened?
guide, nobody to acclimate
Well,
you.
I had other teachers that worked with me, and we all lived in the same building, and so we kind of worked together. Sometimes we
Okay.
walked to work together or rode our bikes together, but for the most part, it was like, "Yo, here's your job," and it wasn't. I know people who had moved to Korea who did the same work, who had like they came with a group or an organization like the public school system. And so they had training and acclimation and whatever. But for me, no. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. But in a sense, it kind of just helped me ask my own questions and figure it out because everything's figure outable, right? And
Yep.
so my second contract, I was working at a university, and the university, they still didn't do any intercultural anything, but what they did is they had a group of students that were going to, there was like 5 different countries: South Africa, China,
Mm.
India, um some other places. It was like 5 different countries that they were going to do a Red Cross tour and get some training on, so for some volunteers. And so the dean came to me and she said, "Can you create an intercultural training?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that means, but okay." And so
Intercultural training in Asia.
yes, it was an
Mm.
intercultural training to send these students to these different countries, and they all were
Oh,
very different. And
got it.
so I looked at it. I was like, "Sure." But she needed it in 2 days. I was like, "Girlfriend, what?" So I'm sitting here on Google trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean? So I knew I needed to teach them like what not to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's certain countries you can't wave, and certain countries you
Really?
should do this. You shouldn't point at people. You shouldn't touch nobody's head. So just things like that, I wanted them to be quite aware of, so that they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't go and have um, any type of issues. Like for instance, if they would have been to like Singapore, Singapore is one of those countries that's very clean, but it's very strict. So you can't have gum in Singapore. They banned it. It's outlawed. So if you come in there and you hit some contraband, your gum, you think you about to chew it, you could
Like
get live
chewing gum? Chewing
chewing
gum.
gum. So things
Whoa.
like that. I started researching like what did they need to know to keep they behinds out of jail. That's number one. And then number two, like how could they engage and make it a better experience by knowing some of the cultural aspects of the 5 different countries that they were going
Mm.
to. And so once I did that training and they loved it, and I was like, this is a thing. And it just sat with me. So once I
Yeah.
had the collision, I started thinking about what's next, and I had a lot of time to think. I was in a lot of pain, but I was trying to think what's the next thing in my life. And so I decided to go to grad school, but I didn't want to just go to grad school. I wanted it to be meaningful. I wanted it to like be part of my passion. And I was interested in women's studies. I was international studies. And so I found a grad school in Vermont. And when I showed up, I was like a fish out of water because, I drove over my Volvo and, I'm fresh. And they were like, girl, we are in the mountains. And I was like, okay. I set the
Vermont.
precedent wherever I go, so I'm good. And it was a great experience. I was a little older than the rest of the bunch. There were a couple elders, but for the most part, I was like in my 30s. And I studied intercultural communications, and then I also double majored in international education because I want something to fall back on if something didn't go right. So as I looked at the intercultural aspects of it, I knew I wanted to be a trainer because the Gemini in me needs to speak. And I wanted to be out here on the circuit. And so for the life of me, I couldn't it was like they had a lot of positions that would prepare people to move abroad, but the training aspect was like null and void. So again, me being me, I sat down and was like, okay, God, this is what I want to do. And I wrote it all out. And 2 weeks later, I got a email on LinkedIn saying, hey, we saw your resume. We'd like to talk to you about intercultural position. Well, fine. Thank you so much. And I did my interview, and it was a consultancy position where I was training Fortune 500 companies who were sending their people abroad. And so I did that. I loved it, and I still do that. But it was more on, for instance, I've worked with companies like Boeing who are sending pilots to go live in France, and then they're taking their families. So you have the actual assignee is what they would call them. And these are traditional expats. These are people who are being sponsored by a company and they're moving abroad. So everything is paid for. They get their houses moved. They get to sell houses. They get basically free places to stay for the most part. Their families, if they have children, they get school paid for.
So they get pampered. They get pampered to come over there. Yes.
Like,
wow.
What I had been looking for all the time.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
But my first experience was not on that level per se, but they sent for me, they paid for my house. The only thing I paid was like electric and my internet. And they sent me home. And then, so I had a contract. And so I was a traditional expat in that sense. Non-traditional expats, though, move differently, which I call them self-initiating expats because you are initiating this move on your own. And that's what a lot of people are doing now is moving. And they're like, you know what, I'm going to go live in Japan and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get me a budget. I'm going to look at what the expenses are, what, the cost of living is versus where I'm currently living. If I'm working in the US, remotely, how much can that afford me somewhere else, right? And they put that plan together and they move. Not that simple, but and so that's what I started to do next because I had already got certified before I went to Korea to be a life coach. And I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to help guide people to do things that they wanted to do. But I didn't put it together until afterwards. I was like, oh, why don't we do expat coaching? And so I thought I was on the brink of something new. And at that time, I kind of was. But then life happened and things, started to move. And so long story short, I opened up my own consultancy and I was still doing the expat trainings. And then I started working with more self-initiated expats who they have to pay for it themselves. And so when you have to pay for it yourself, you down to the dollar. Like, okay, I need to know like
Yeah.
how this actually works. I need a plan to make this happen, because when somebody else is doing for you, they do everything. When they have an expat going on an assignment, they give you training for understanding the culture. That's where I come in and teach you, like, okay, so
Okay.
in this particular country, there might be a high context culture, or it might be a low context culture, meaning that if it's a high context culture, there are more countries like Latin America, or it could be Korea, where they're more interested in who you are, building
Mm.
relationships. So you get more of the people of color, right? Low context cultures are cultures that kind of like are hands off. Your Germany, your Americas, because it's business. Let's get to business. Let's jump in now. We can do
Always
this.
Europe. Always
Um,
Europe.
but high context cultures are
Hmm.
cultures where we actually want to engage. I want to know your
Mm.
story. I want you to tell me about your family, because before we can talk business, I need to know you, right? So it's
Mm.
more hands on. It's
Got it.
more like, we'll talk about that later. We'll get to money after I get to you, right? And so that intrigues me. And being able to teach people that, so that they know that before I come in this country, for instance, if I send somebody to Germany, they're going to need to be punctual. Don't show up at the hour, because you're going to piss some people off. They need you to be 5-10 minutes ahead of time. That's important. They want to do business. They don't want to talk. Don't do all that talking. We don't want to talk. We want to get to business, right? So those things are important when you're sending somebody into the country. Well, oftentimes as a self-initiated expat, you don't get any of that context. You like, oh, I want to go to Japan. And then you just get on the plane and buy tickets, and then try to figure it out. And then you like, oh, how can I rent? And then you run into a whole bunch of mess, because you didn't
Mm.
have the preparation. And so that's where I try to bridge the gap, where that is something a company is paying for on one end. And on the other end, you have to be aware of what you don't know, or the things that may get you in trouble, like your visa.
Hmm.
What's that look like? How much is it? What are your qualifications? Because they're different in every country. And so I think a lot of times as Americans, we make a lot of assumptions, and then we get into trouble. And so I try to prevent that. And then I started transitioning into more of a softer life once I moved to Mexico. So I also do coaching around helping women, particularly Black women, remove stress and come back to themselves and start doing the work that they love, not just searching after money, because
Yep.
money will come when you do the things that you love. But if you're rooted
Mm.
in the work that you really enjoy, the money is going to show up. But what I have found, especially now, there are so many women who are just mentally checked out. They're stressed, overworked, because of the power dynamics. I got to get more. I got to get more.
Yeah.
And when you don't, really. And so I want women to understand that the best life is not the life that you got to strive for and struggle for and hustle for, but the one that you allow to come, that you are aligned with, you're doing your life's purpose, and you're showing up authentically as yourself. And that translates totally different than I'm hustling and I gotta get this money and I'm in my masculine energy. Come on back.
Mm.
It can be softer, and I
Ooh.
think you get more. So you now see a lot of women going on sabbaticals because they tired. They
Ah,
don't have nowhere to give. You can't give from an empty cup. It's
you
impossible.
you better
So
say it. Black women are tired. I don't know about any other
tired.
women because I'm a Black woman, but Black women are tired. I mean, I'm
Tired.
not saying other women aren't, but I got to talk about in in first place, Black women. And we are going through a lot in this country, and not particularly with the country is an issue, but also like our families. We're caretakers. There's a lot of families and Black women are the head of because they're not married or the man is not present. So Black women are tired, taking care of children, the
Tired.
family, the community. We need other options. And so I really love that you really do this with Black women also, with us in mind, you being a Black woman, first of all. But how about, a lot of people say, I got kids. Oh, they go to Superstar. They said,
Told
I
you.
got kids.
Enters right on key.
Yeah, they go to see Superstar. Oh, here we go.
Hi.
Hey,
Good morning.
good morning. And you said that, so how does a mother say, enough of this? I'm getting up out of here with my children.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just gonna be 100% honest. Like I was living in Alexandria, Virginia, right outside of DC, and I love DC is my favorite city. So in the
Mhm.
U.S. and I had the life, right? I just had a child. I was in a relationship, but then the relationship wasn't fulfilling, and I'm one of these people
Mm.
like, listen, when I leave. I'm gone because I've done everything that I can do. And I've told you everything that I needed to tell you about what needs to be fixed. I've listened to you. And so I'm done talking. And I remember during the pandemic, I went to Mexico to go to Cancun because I was tired.
Mhm.
And I think my son may have been at that time, like maybe just turning. No, he was probably about 4 or 5 months old.
Oh, he was a
Went
baby.
to Mexico, and I was like, I'm
Wait a minute, wait a
tired.
minute. Hold up a minute. You took a 4-month-year-old?
No, no, no. He didn't go to Mexico. I went by
Oh, I'm
myself with,
like,
with one of my friends,
so, but
and
but you left your 4-month-year-old and started to say, I'm getting ready to leave this country?
it was a
Wow.
week. Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 days.
But I
Yep,
mean, it's
I did.
amazing that you even, when people are just having babies, they're not thinking about, okay, I'm getting ready to go to another country. Like, you're like, I'm leaving. Oh, wow.
Well,
Okay.
at that time, I didn't. I was on vacation. I was like, okay, I'm tired. And he might have been about like 8 months. But
Okay.
I literally was like, I'm tired and I needed a
Mm,
vacation. And then the pandemic was starting. And
mm-hmm.
so I went, and it was scarce. There wasn't really anybody in Cancun at
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
And so, but I kept thinking, I could live here. Like I never had thought about living in Mexico. I didn't care. People was going to Cancun, going to Cabo. That was never a
Did
place
you
I
speak
even.
Spanish?
I used to speak Spanish a long time ago.
I used to.
And no, so I'm functionally illiterate. I can speak enough to get by, right? To eat for 3 years. I lived there for 3 years.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I took some Spanish classes
Mm-hmm.
in high school and junior high, and then I took them again when I was living there. Um, but no, the answer is no. But at the time when I went there for a vacation, I looked around and I was like, I could live here. I went
Mm.
back home. I had a conversation like, okay, maybe we could live in Mexico, blah, blah, blah. And I remember he looked at me and was like, I'm not moving to no foreign country. I'm not doing it. And he was hot about it. And I was like, oh, this is the end of this relationship in my head. Because I was like, I'm not, I never
Wait a minute.
wanted
He
to live.
shot it down immediately. Like,
He was
I'm not.
like,
A lot of
why
people
would
say that
you
to me.
do
I'm
that?
not living in a foreign country. Like,
I'm
a foreign
not doing
country is
that.
bad.
How
Yeah.
bad? Like, so I was like, okay. I put something out on Facebook because one of my girlfriends, she lived in Korea with me, and she happened to put something on Facebook. But she was in Tulum, I was in Cancun when we went, and we was like, 30 minutes apart, but we didn't connect. And so when we got back, said she was moving to Merida. And I was like, where is that? And she told me, she was like, you should think about it because it's a really safe place to raise children. And so I was like, okay. So I looked it up, and then I booked a flight. And her and her family were going there to do a scouting trip too for like a month. So we went, I connected with them. And myself and her husband were cool before we moved to Korea. And so that's
Mm.
how I knew them. And so it was like just a family reunion. We hung out for like a week, and I looked around and I was like, I could live here. And that time my son was with me. And
Mm.
he was he was 18 months when we moved. So he had to be a little bit older when I went to Cancun. My math a little off. So
Wow. But he's not even 2. He's not 4.
Yeah,
He's
well,
not
he's 5
12.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
5.
I'm saying he's just 5 now, so he was young. Like, I
He
mean,
was
because
young.
that is a limited fact for a lot of people. I'm not, they're children. It's like I can't go nowhere with small kids, and you know what I'm saying. We got to look at that it's possible. So that's why I want you to tell this story. Is that don't let children hold you back. Um,
Absolutely.
don't let nothing hold you back. We got to explore the earth. So go ahead, keep going.
So when I got back from that exploratory trip, that was like February. And so I, said something to his father again. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go. And I remember as we was, he was like, so we sat down, he signed all the papers and I had a plan. I said, listen, I'm gonna go for 6 months. There's some things that's not working in this relationship. I want you to look at them. And maybe, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. So maybe, we need some space so that you can understand what I'm talking about, because then you'll miss me.
Did you think he would
So
come? Did you think he would miss you and just come to Mexico?
I
Like, I
did
would come
not.
to get my
I
woman.
did
You
not.
thought
He
you was
was not
putting
giving up
one in
his
there.
good government job. He was saying, I got a good government job. You know how those,
He not
you
leaving
know,
that job, baby.
the Negroes in the DMV be like, I got a good government. Listen, keep your good government job because I need some of that money too. But so I just was like, all right, here's my plan. So we, was moving out. And I remember like a couple days before, like, because it started to set in for him. This is the thing. And I remember him saying, you don't have no job. You ain't got, how you gonna make it? You're not gonna make it. I looked at him. I was like, bruh. I said, let me show you who I really am. I said, because see, you met somebody else, but I'm about to show you who I really am. I said, and I don't do a lot of talking, but watch what I do. And I don't, sweetie, you're not taking care of me. Like, I'm literally making more money than you not working, not doing nothing, just being a mom. I was like, I had all kinds of hustles. There was points I was making $8,000 in 3 days. So what are we
We're
talking
gonna talk
about? So
about that off camera. We're gonna talk about that off camera. 8,000. We
I mean,
definitely gonna
I'm
talk
a
about that.
hustler. Like, stop. So I was
Whoa.
like, sir, okay. So I just didn't say nothing. Pack my
Mm.
bags. He's like, and you gonna make it without it? You ain't never been a mother. How you gonna be you don't know nothing about being a single mom. You got help here and all this stuff, right? I got
Look at
on the
this brother.
plane.
He trying to break your dreams now. I don't like
It,
that. We gotta.
it,
That's
it was
terrible. Come on,
okay.
bro.
Cause I needed that. Cause there was a moment where I was like, what are you doing? Like you really are about to, take this baby
Mm-hmm.
to a foreign country. And I'm not, bionic woman. I have emotions too. So I was
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? And I got scared for a second and I was like, hold up, you Cha Jones. What are we no. Go forward and conquer. And I showed up and literally in 3 days I had a place to live because I had rented a Airbnb for a week. And on the second day, my realtor took me out. I found the place that I wanted. It was brand new. They weren't even finished. They were like, can you give us a couple extra days? My birthday came up. I went to Cancun for my birthday. I came back, had to stay in the hotel for 2 more days while they finished up the house. Then we moved in. I signed my lease. We was good. And I didn't look back. And there were moments where like money started to run out. And we was still like virtually in the pandemic. And I was used to doing intercultural work. Well, ain't nobody moving. Nobody's
Yeah,
traveling. So
that's
that's
true.
out. What you gonna
That's,
talk about? And so I got creative. I started catering. I started hosting events and money came back and I
you a
paid them.
hustler, 10 toes down.
So
You doing events in Mexico and don't speak
I was
Spanish.
doing
I love it.
events in Mexico. Yes.
I love it. Listen, that's a black woman, y'all. We resourceful. We do the damn thing. I love this. Listen, we
Are we gonna
gotta.
start?
We are we gonna start? What we gonna do? Listen, we gotta give a shout out. Kareem is killing the chat. Kareem said, "I yes." He said he left. Yes, I had to leave a boo behind in the U.S. I was over it. He said he left at $39 with $500 in his pocket. Wow. He said he was not going to be 40 in the US. Mm. It's just I'm listening to him because he's a male. It's a whole different side of this, and what he just says: when racism is gone and stress and cancerous food, we can thrive mentally and do not need much money. I love that. We don't know how much the stress is killing Black people, the racist and us having to show up every day and contort and everything for whiteness, and all of the food that we're eating. We're eating trash. We're eating absolute trash. And so when I say this, I'm not saying this to attack anyone. I just really want us to look at something different. And I can't say it because I'm here with everyone. I'm in the States. I'm a Yankee girl. I'm here. But when I see you, my sister Cha, and I had Sister Davita on, and we're going to have Kareem on with his coffee brand. Don't worry. Hint, hint. Kareem is coming. And so it's just very nice to connect because we need to have this diasporan dialogue. We need to hear something different. And I love what you're saying because a lot of times your own family is the ones who talk you down. Oh, no, you're not going to make it. Oh, no, you can't do it. Oh, no, shut up. Go see the world. Right, Sha?
Absolutely. Like, don't ever let somebody kill your dreams. Like, I have always wanted to live abroad, and like I said, when I ask spirit for something, it shows up, and I just have to be aware of what I asked for and connect the dots, and then walk in inspired action, and that's what I did. But it didn't matter if I had a child or not. Like, this is who I am. And see, that's the thing. You got to know who you are. And you can't be allowing other people to dictate who you are and how you move in your life. And so, yes, I moved away from family. I heard people, you going to take that baby and he going to know his family. They got Skype. They got Google Meet. They got Zoom. And if you want to know my style, you should get on one of them. But at the end of the day, and I've lost family connections that I had that I never thought I would ever lose because they were always my ride or die in this venture. Not necessarily because I moved, but because they didn't agree with how I was flowing. And they thought, he need his daddy in his life. And I totally agree. I do agree that he talks to his daddy every single day. Matter of fact, and he might just call now, but and is it the same? No, I'm not trying. And I'm for my people. I believe in Black men. I hold it down for Black men, but I'm not holding it down for nobody's man to my detriment. And if we're not going to work in purpose, because we brought this child together in purpose, like it was a conversation. He's not an oops accident and he just showed up. That's not how this happened. And so I do my life like I do everything else, that I agree to this, right? Now I agree to how I'm moving and how I'm flowing. And so at any point, if the agreement is null and void, we ending it. That's it. Friendship, mamaship, sistership, I don't care what this ship is. I'm going to end the ship. It's going down today.
You said sistership.
I don't care what it is.
Oh my goodness.
I need peace in my life because I show up in peace. I operate in peace and I respect what people want. And I can, if it's not what you want and I'm not that anymore, I'm okay with that. Like, ain't no love lost, but I want you to be happy. And so I'm not going to stay somewhere miserable doing something that's not conducive for my health and my well-being. And there's, like I said, everything's figure outable. So me taking this child and helping, he's 5 years old. He's been in 10 countries. And in 2 weeks, he'll be to the 11th. So like, I'm not trying to hold him back. I'm raising a genius so that he can be seen in the world and not so that he shrinks in the world. So he's homeschooled. He's showing up as a whole human being. You can't tell that young man that he can't do certain things because the Leo in him ain't even, he'll be like, well, I don't do that. And he'll tell you.
I think I'm being interviewed. Jesus.
I don't do that.
You are killing the game. I love it. I love it. And not only do I love what you're saying, I love what you're doing for a black child and a male child at that, who have so many issues in the States that he's now being exposed to so many different things, so many different languages, cultures. In 20 years, I would love to see what type of young man he is, because this is something that we're not doing to our children. And we have no thought of doing because we're just trying to make it in this US. And so this young man has been to 10 countries. I haven't been to 10 countries. And he's not even 10. How about that?
He's
And he's on his
5
way
years
to 11. I'm
old.
sick of him. He's 5 years old. and, and just imagine the languages that he's been able to hear in his through his ears, and what he's been able to do with linguistics, and what he'll be able to do with this his mindset and what he's seen. This is what we have to do for our children. Even if it's not for yourself, leave and just see something else for your children. And so, Shy, listen, you got my respect, sis. Keep talking. I'm here as a guest. Just keep talking.
No, I mean, that's one of the things I really want people to understand. Don't let anything hold you back.
Yeah.
Listen, and I'm not trying to say that there aren't challenges. I'm not saying that it doesn't get difficult. And some of that challenge is when you go to different places, not having community makes it very difficult. And when we
Yes.
first got to Kuala Lumpur, I was like, okay, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay here because I don't have a sense of community. That's the only thing I'm lacking. I love my house. I love, being able to do the work that I do. I love meeting people, but I don't have a sense of community where I can break bread with people who look like me and who understand
Mm.
what I'm going through because they're going through that same thing. And so I
Yes.
created my own community. And it started with one person, which was Davita, and now we got 50 people, and we just
Look at
had
that.
Friendsgiving. And
Look at that.
yesterday, a group of us young women went to see Wicked, which that's a whole nother conversation. You
Y'all
got to
already
bring
saw
that.
Wicked. Us in the States ain't
Yes,
seen no damn Wicked. What the heck?
girl, saw Wicked yesterday. But another conversation for Black women that we need to have about break that down because that's deep. But yeah, I just think that anything is figure outable, but you have to be willing to answer the call. And
Yep.
we get caught up with keeping up with the Joneses, no pun intended. But you can't
That
listen. What's
part.
for them is for them. What's for them is for them. And what's for me is for me. But you got
Yep.
to be clear about what's for you before you can ever do anything. And I
Yep.
tell clients all the time, like, they have this grand idea because they watch Instagram that they can go out here and floss and live. And that's the soft. That's not soft. Because anytime you start going to get more, you got to maintain it. That's
Yeah.
nothing soft about that. When you fall back and fall into who you really are, doors open up. You open up. And when you do the shadow work and you show up and you start think, okay, what's preventing me from being my best self? Money ain't that. Money is not the end all be all. It's great to have, and it obviously opens some doors. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, it's not going to make you happy. There are
It isn't.
plenty of millionaires trying to commit suicide
You
today,
better know it.
right?
You better know
Because
it.
they're unhappy with who they
Yes.
are. And so I really want specifically Black women, quit striving for this dream, because let me tell you what it's done. It's disconnected the Black family. It's
Mm.
disconnected you. You out here striving to be this, that, or the other. Y'all don't have your own hair. I'm about to just come with it, y'all.
Oh,
So
you
y'all don't
better
have your own hair. Y'all don't
let
have
me
your own
sit up.
lashes.
Let me get
you
my drink.
are totally inauthentic because you showing up as a Barbie doll. And if you took all that mess off, you're not even real,
You
right?
better say it, girl. Keep going.
How is that healthy? And I'm not knocking, however you get beauty, get it, right? And if you want to wear a wig, okay. If you want to have hair to your ass, okay, I'm not knocking that. But who are you? I want to know you. I want you to take all that off and who are you? And show up authentically and do the work that you came here to do. But you can't do it when you imposing as an imposter for somebody else. You can't.
Absolutely. Listen, let me tell you something. I didn't know. This right here is what I wanted to
Child,
hear, because
listen.
we as Black women are Black people. And this is across the board, but we're talking about Black women. We're contorting ourselves. We're our nails, these eyelashes, this blonde hair, these wigs. We are not real. We're unhappy, and we don't even know who we are. We have to look at this. And what you're saying from another place, I love you saying, because if I say this, oh, here she go, Miss Africa naps. She, I'm like, but listen, we gotta show up as our full authentic self, and it's important. Everybody wants what we got, and we try to be everything else. I don't
Everything
understand
else.
everything else. We want to be everything else, but everybody want our hair, everybody want our shape, everybody want our swag, everybody want what we got, baby. But we want to be everyone else. And people say, well, oh, I hear women say, well, it's just variety. You don't see nobody putting no naps in their hair. No other bodies doing what we're doing. You see Koreans putting in um in any dreads in their hair? No,
Well, I've seen that.
not here.
But I mean,
I'm talking
it's
about in the States. I'm talking about in the States. They're not putting their
oh, let
dreads
me
in there.
say no. The
They probably
bride,
do it
she
there,
gets
but I'm
the
saying they're not doing it here.
anything.
That we're going into their shops buying hair and everything. And I just think that, you're in a different space, but I love that you're saying it. We got to get out of this dream. Say it again. What's the dream?
But it's not even, and again, whatever you do and you like it, I love it. I'm
Mm,
not knocking, and cause see, I will put on some fingernails in a minute, right? It's like, well,
I mean,
but I used to try to put fingernails on as a child because I just loved it.
mm-hmm.
But it's not about what you're doing. It's about why you're doing it. And if you don't love you, then you start doing everything to try to change you to be or to conform into what somebody else thinks is right
Or
or white,
beauty.
right?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's where the problem becomes in. I go get some hair. Go get some nails. I don't care. Look lovely, feel great. But this is the thing. Like the family unit has been disconnected. And you're like, well, child, you're a single mom. I am by choice because I wasn't gonna settle. And
Mm.
it's like, well, your expectations are too high. Were they? Because
Ooh,
I need a man that's gonna rise to the occasion to be a man. And I don't need nobody who's gonna shrink in the midst of whatever we got going on. This is a contract. And anytime a contract is not being fulfilled, it then becomes void.
ooh,
So that's my situation. But in a perfect world, do I think there should be a black man standing next to me? Absolutely. Do I think there should
absolutely.
be a man standing next to me? Absolutely. And I feel like there are so many situations where black women and black men can't get along because we haven't done the work, and then we get in relationships that aren't purposeful. If the relationship's not purposeful, where are you going? How are you going to get to the same place if both of y'all not on the same accord? You can't. If you trying to be in the hood hip hopping and da 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 da, and I'm trying to make money and shit, that's not gonna work. Y'all not even flowing on the same street, let alone in the same book. So you can't turn chapters and think y'all gonna catch up because it's not gonna happen. And
Mm.
so unfortunately, we got to be clear about that. We got to be clear about how we moving in these streets and how we're moving forward. And it needs to be very purposeful. And see, I don't normally have these conversations because I just be like, do you?
Yeah,
But
I
you
love it.
know, I get questioned as a single mom who's made decisions. Know and believe that I made these decisions consciously because I
Mm.
knew I was ready. When I found out I had a son, I was having a son, I was pregnant, and the test, I didn't want to know, and the test popped up because when I opened the email, surprise, it's a boy. I cried for 8 hours. I wrote a whole thing about it. Like, I wasn't crying because I didn't want a son. I was crying because I didn't want a son to have to grow up in America and have to have all of these things placed on him, and the
That's right.
burden it is as a black woman to not know when I leave my house or if I send him out that he coming back. I didn't want to have to deal with that. I didn't want to have to deal with the fact that, I'm going to send him to a school and he's going to be influenced by some thugs who don't know who they are rightfully. And then that's going to be my challenge of trying to, navigate that experience. We're not doing that. And so even in that moment, I wasn't cognitively thinking about my next step of moving him out of the country then, but it came naturally that I have to protect my seed. I have to make sure that he sees men in different lights. And I just sent him to America October. And when I picked him up, he got out the car talking about they not like us. The hell? And okay. And I could have took that a million different ways, right? Nope, they not like us. I'm gonna need to
my goodness.
inform you, sir. But then came back singing all kinds of songs, and I had to explain to him, yeah, that's a good song, but we not doing that.
There go the son, y'all. That's the son. That's the son. That's the young man right there. That's the genius. That's our man's in there right there. But I love that. Oh my God. I love what you're saying. And because we are in America and we're living here, we're existing, but we're scared. We're fear. We have a lot of fear, especially for our children. And now it used to be just the males, but the females, it's just as bad. And the abduction of children is bad. The sex trafficking, what's happening to girls is bad. I mean, it's a lot to be Black in America. That is the truth. And I'm not saying that you have to move. I just want you to hear options. Do what you do, but we need to hear options, and we need to know that there are other options than what we're going through. You don't have to be stressed out. You don't have to. Let's talk about racism so people know what kind of racism is going on in these other countries. Because a lot of people like, what racism is everywhere. Lies. And it might be. But let me hear. Because you've been to a lot of countries.
It can be racism everywhere. I also think so. I'll tell a story. When I was living in Korea, my second contract, I live about 2 hours from Seoul, and I happened to be traveling to Seoul on a bus that normally took 2 hours, but it was New Year's Eve. And so my bright idea was, since it's New Year's Eve, it's going to take probably a little longer. Let me go ahead and get dressed. So I had, the suit on. It was cold. I had my trench coat on and some 3-4 inch stiletto heels. Ooh. I get on the bus, there's no seat, so I'm standing. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to.
They let you stand in stilettos?
No, 2+ hours, right? I was like, this ain't gonna work. And I get a tap, and it's an older lady who's sitting in the seat, and a young girl sitting next to her, and she reaches over and she tells me to sit down. And I said, oh no. She's like, no, sit down. So she moves over, and the girl moves, and I sit down. And, everything's fine. I'm like, thank you, Lord. So, because it ended up being 3.5 hours before we got there. And so I would have been standing in some stilettos looking hot, crazy mess, hot as I don't know what. So we get to Seoul, we get off the bus, and, I'm my grandmama's child. I was like, look, she paid the same amount I paid for my ticket. Let me give her some money and say thank you. So I went to give her the money, and we don't speak the same language. I don't speak no Korean. And she told me no. And she took her hand and put it in my hand, and she put it to my heart. And she said, my heart to your heart, and said thank you. And she was like, I'm sorry that, and walked off. And so I was boo-hoo crying like, that's so what nice. Just happened? And that is the one thing I can say, that we're all human, right? And at our core, when we show up authentically, that's what you get, is a human experience. It's not Black, it's not white, it's not Korean, it's not Malaysian, it's not none of these titles that we have put upon ourselves or allow other people to impose upon us. We don't have to deal with any of that. And so you have real experiences. And I've had more real experiences outside the United States when I go to countries that I don't even speak the language. I'll try. And I'm functionally illiterate in Korean. I can, order some stuff. I can get around. I lived there for 3 years. But at the end of the day, what I have learned and what I know to be true, because I grew up. My father is in the Nation of Islam. I grew up with a strong sense of Blackness and who I am. I was born in the same birthplace as Malcolm X. I definitely know who I am, and I'm rooted in that, right?
Beautiful.
But America, and this is what people need to understand, it was created on the backs of slavery and racism, and comes with all kinds of components of division. And it's going to have that until we decide that we no longer want to deal with this, right? And we start operating in our authentic selves as people, and we start doing the work. But we ain't doing the work, right? America is a great place. I'm from there. Like, I'm not gonna deny home and be like, oh, there's so many great places. America's great, and it can still be great, but it does need to change.
But Trump is going to change it. He's going to make America great again. Trumpy. So don't say nothing. You don't live here.
That's a whole nother conversation. And because then you go, so when was it great, right?
That's what I want to know.
And what is that? And that's relative to who is great for, right? True. And it ain't never been great for us. We weren't calculated in this greatness. True. However, it's great because of us. It's the whole component of who of what America is. She can't be America without us. Our blood, sweat, and tears. Real talk, right?
Real talk.
So people ain't never even seen me like this, but
I love this. I love it.
For real. Like,
that's
we have
for
to talk
real.
About like the dynamics of what racism is and why it's cultivated. You don't hold people down if they don't have something of essence
to hold.
You don't hold people back if they got something that you don't want, right? Why would I hold you back?
Yeah.
Obviously,
you only oppress greatness. I tell people all the time.
Has something of essence here.
You only oppress greatness, child. And absolutely. So you don't press something that's not a threat, that's not great. Why would you? So when you're pressing something, it's because it's great, and that's what we must understand. And that's why it's so important to have you say these things. This is not about racism; it is about being an expat. But we have to understand that the things that we're experiencing in America, we don't have to. We're doing it because we're comfortable. We think we're comfortable. That's all we know, and we don't want to experience something else. And I just want to give you guys information. You can leave, take your family, and just visit another country. You might like it. You might want to stay. Kareem says no racism, discrimination, or prejudice, but we have Black American privilege out here. No credit checks. 1K equals 55,000 out here. Oh, I'm moving tomorrow. 1K is 55 G's, bruh. What? So the money triples. So if you make money,
absolutely. And it just depends on where you're going. Because in Mexico, $1 is 20 pesos. So you get 20 to 1, or depending on the day that you're trying to do the conversion. So there are plenty. I mean, you can go to Thailand and you get thousands and thousands of dollars on
for $1.
Yes. So
and see, this is something we don't even know. We don't have any money in our pockets, but you land yourself in Thailand. You rich, baby.
Rich.
$500.
But I want to say this to people, because I had a young lady who just came here, took her first international trip, and she out here doing. She took. Listen, let me tell y'all. If you don't think it's possible, she left Cleveland,
Ohio,
a week and a half ago. Never had been abroad. Came to Malaysia, stayed here for 2 or 3 days, went to Thailand, stayed there for 3 or 4 days. Then she said, you know what? I'm going to Dubai. She went to Dubai. She's in Dubai now because her birthday is tomorrow. And never had left the country. Do you know how much of an inspiration she is? That she's sitting there doing all her videos for the people in Cleveland, Ohio, who are connected to her.
And
because she's
she is
showing them
in
it's
Dubai.
possible.
Wow.
And and she's gonna travel and continue to travel until she goes back in March. But that's her sabbatical, is to
Wait a
get
minute, wait a
out of the
minute. So you say she's going to travel all through next year to March?
until March. So she made a plan that she's gonna travel, so that she doesn't have to spend the winter in Cleveland. And she came up with a plan, and
Amazing.
you know she had some anxiety at first, but baby, when she got on that plane, she saw that she could do it, and she started moving around Malaysia, and she was like, I don't think this is the place for me. I'm gonna go over to Thailand. She just got on the plane. She left her stuff here, and then she came back and got it. But she's been doing videos and inspiring all kinds of people in the hood to just be like, you know what? I don't have to just do this that I'm doing. I don't have to
Yep.
keep showing up. And a lot of times is that we're comfortable
Yes.
in our uncomfortable places.
Yes.
But
It's
we're so
familiar. We're
comfortable,
familiar with it. That's what it is.
right, that we
Yes.
don't want to challenge our uncomfortability and say,
Yes.
I want to show up differently. You can't change unless you go through a process. A butterfly doesn't fly just saying, I want to fly. The caterpillar goes through a whole process, a
Yep.
metamorphosis,
Yep.
and then emerges as
As a
the
butterfly.
butterfly. But if
Yep.
you don't have that cocoon stage, you don't become nothing. You will continue to crawl the earth, right? So why
Right.
do we think we just supposed to magically think something and then tomorrow be that? No, it don't work. That microwave stuff don't work in real life. In real life, you are going to go through some things that are uncomfortable. Deciding I want to do something different. Did I question things? Absolutely. Did I say, well, I'm wrong for that? I had all kinds of thoughts. I'm wrong for this. He loves his father. I love this person. I want, all the things based off of emotion. But logically, I had to look at the real deal. It's very black and white. This is not going to change unless you change. Now,
Ooh.
I'm only responsible for my change. Could there be a family unit if somebody else decided to do something different? Absolutely. I'm not responsible for their change. I'm responsible for my change. So I have to change accordingly. And the
Ooh.
same thing with
Love it.
life. Like if you want to live differently, start doing things. Wake up and start eating differently. Get up and pray about your life or
Yep.
meditate or think about, but you're going to have to start taking small steps that then become bigger leaps. But if you don't move, ain't nothing moving for you. You're going to stay where you are. And if you content with that, I'm content with that. But oftentimes we are sitting in misery, dying,
Yeah.
because we don't choose to make a different decision. And the decision is yours. We all have crossroads that we have to come to and decide whether we're going to go left or right. And not that one way is better than the other per se, right? It won't kill you if you go that way per se, but it may be difficult. So if we start thinking differently, start asking the right questions, and again, I'm not advocate everybody shouldn't leave America, but
True.
if that's not calling you anymore and you want something different in your life, and even if you don't move, maybe it's time for you to break away and
Just
just say, you know
travel.
what,
You don't
I'm
have
gonna
to
read,
move. Travel. Leave. Expose
do something.
yourself and your children. Yes. That's all I'm saying. Not everyone's going to be able to say, okay, I'm going to leave. But if you don't, why can't you just travel? Why don't you just leave where you are? Like this young lady leaving for the winter, it's going to change her life. What's in Cleveland, Ohio? Have y'all been there? I'm gonna be quiet. Let me be quiet. But I'm just saying,
Ooh.
it is it is important, and me myself too. It's very scary, but I'm gonna do it because I know that it's gonna make me a better person. It's gonna These eyes need to see more than the East Coast of the US. It needs to see more than the West Coast. It
Absolutely.
needs to see more than Vegas. It needs to see just a little more. And so that's what we need to do. And I mean, I'm listening to Kareem. Kareem said my $500 is 25,000 when he landed. Imagine you got $500 in your pocket. It's 25 G's when you get to play. I'll be dancing naked. They be like, this black woman crazy. She's real crazy. But we just have to understand. And that's why we do International Sundays, guys. We're laughing, we're enjoying ourselves. And this is a sister circle. But I really want you guys to think that, because everyone is afraid. And we got a new president coming in. We got Trumpy again. And Lord, what we going to do with Trumpy? But you don't even have to experience him. Just imagine you can leave. You don't have to experience him. So how do people think about it? Because they have jobs. Because most of the time it's money. So how is that process? The money part of it.
Sometimes you just have to reinvent yourself, right?
Mm.
Like I said, when I got to Mexico and the money ran thin, I reinvented myself. Like I wasn't catering in no other part of my life, right? So I started catering. I started hosting events. I made money the way, like, okay, this is natural to me. I cook. People like my food. All right, so I'm a caterer.
Whatever you do good.
Yeah, and so you look at your skills, talents, and abilities, and you capitalize off of them. They capitalize, and when you go to your job every day, they capitalize off of them. So why don't you, right?
So
and
true.
Your 9 to 5 is the job, so you just over broke anyways. So at the end of the day, if you start looking at like, okay, what can I do? Sometimes it's not a good fit for certain places, right? Sometimes you have to get creative. And then, at the end of the day, US money is longer when you translate it. So if you can work remotely and you can have a job that you can do, you might have to shift your time because like I'm 12, 13, 14 hours ahead of everybody in the US. So you might have to flip flop for a while until you figure out what your niche is in the place that you are. But now we need to start thinking collectively. I'm glad Kwanzaa's on its way, and we need to start thinking about cooperative economics. How can we break bread with one another? How can we live off of real food and create our own? And I know I don't do that. I'm used to my luck life. I am too. But at the end of the day, I also used to living, and I want to live. And right now, we're being placed in situations and in positions where we have to start thinking outside the box again and be creative about how we make money, who we make money with. And if we pull our resources, which is something we're not good at, but we pull our resources and start breaking bread with one another and saying, you know what? Okay, we're gonna have to go back to the bartering system. You got this, I got this. How we gonna move, right? So that's one thing. But realistically, if you decided, okay, I'm gonna move tomorrow, what do I need to do? I need to secure my finances. I need to let go of some of the stuff I got, relinquish that. I need to have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I also need to have a yearly plan. And you start breaking things down. It's easy. You could be, no, it's not really easy, but it can be easy if you put things in place.
Yeah, the process gets easier if you plan. That's what you're saying. If you plan it, the process is easier. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and if you have forethought, okay, what is this looking like? And guess what? You might get to said country because you thought that was a great idea. Don't be taking your US money to Japan. You ain't gonna live off much because Japan is a higher cost of living.
It's expensive.
So you need to think about that. Don't be trying to go to Europe and live in London.
It's not gonna work. The euro is going to eat the dollar up.
It's not taking you too far, right?
You're right.
Look at places, and I'm not saying go cheap, but be economical. Have a plan. Like, okay, this is going to be a good conversion rate for me and my family, and I can make it off of this. I went from paying $2,200 a month to paying $700 in Mexico, and then I pay $750 in Malaysia. Two different properties. They both were new when I moved in. So, but the
two
plan
bedrooms
was
for $750. Wait a minute, hold up. Did you say two
bedroom, 2 bathroom?
2 bathrooms.
Right now, I have a beautiful view of
$750.
For $750.
I don't
And
think
my
you can
water
get
bill
that.
is $1.50. My electric bill is $70. And
Nigga.
so
Did you
now
say $1.50? Made my glasses shift.
$1 whole 50. Yes, $1.50. Yes.
Wow. That's something we never seen. Never seen. So listen, guys,
Right.
this conversation is about options. It's about information. It's about you thinking, it's opening up your pineal gland and and letting your mind change and contort your mind into a different mindset that there's possibilities in other places. We're suffering under undue stress and we don't have to. And if you want to stay here, at least visit somewhere else. And you could go to other places other than Paris, other than Europe. Go to Asia. Go to South America. Go, it's other places in the world that you can visit. And then when you don't have to take a lot of money for your family. And y'all can have a beautiful trip. Am I right, y'all? Because the conversion
Absolutely.
rate. And so I'm just trying, Black people, we got to do, we got, and we got to start trusting each other because we can go as a community if we trust each other. And so when we go there, you have everything. You got your babysitters, you got your mamas, you got your papas, you got your teachers, you got your accountants because you're going as a community.
Let me
We
say
have
this.
go
Okay,
ahead
so when
say it.
I started, I have a group. It's like 6,700 women
How
called
much?
Expat Women of Color.
Si-
6,700,
Black
and
women?
Black women from all
Jeez.
around the world. They
Mhm.
live in all different places. When I last surveyed them, it was 32 different countries. So I'm gonna say this. When I was living in Korea, I saw
Mhm.
this show. I think it was Good Morning America. They were featuring someone talking about the dollar homes in Italy, and they
Mhm.
have some in Spain and Greece, and there's some in different countries.
There's some in
And
Baltimore.
yeah, my mama bought one back in the 80s, in Nebraska. But there are populations that have like shriveled up in some of these
Hey
countries
you.
that
Mhm.
now don't have birth rates,
Mhm.
and they're basically dying off. And so what they've done is like, hey, you come, especially if you're a childbearing. And I wish I would have did this in my 30s because that's when I found out about it before I even had a child. If you were in childbearing ages or you can have children and you're thinking about having a family and that's what you want to do, they really want you to come because they need the birth rate, right? And so my whole idea was, look, this whole community is drying up.
Mhm.
And they're giving money, $10,000
They
here,
will
ten
pay
thousand
you to
dollars
come.
here,
Yep.
and pay you to come there. What if we got together as a community and said, you know what? Look, because now we can be the sheriff. we can, we
You
can be the
negotiate. The
hospital.
whole
We can
community
be the
goes,
school.
they're
The whole
paying for the trip.
community is yours. Rebuild that. And now come in and live together. Now, there's going to be some laws, and we're going to need you to be on one accord. You can't be all willy-nilly out here doing what you want to do.
But it'll be
But
a creative movement. You'll have people that you're familiar with, and you create your own culture, your own
feed
space.
yourself. Nobody can kill you of starvation if you feeding yourself. You now become the structure, and it's not impossible.
Mm-mm.
But you do have to be on one accord. You do have to be community centered. You can't be like, oh, me, 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 me. We
Yep.
did it in Rosewood. We did it in Black Wall Street. We've done it before. It can be done.
That could be done.
So
Yep.
but we have to show up with an agenda and preparation. We
Yep.
have to know that we are all purpose driven and on the same road to success.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it gets killed. But that can happen. I just created a community in Kuala Lumpur. There's 50 of us that, some people are in transition. They're thinking about coming here. They want to connect to community. And then some people are living here. We just had a Friendsgiving. It was like 15 people. But
Oh
when I
wow.
showed up and I looked around me and I said, I don't see community. I built it because that's what I do. Because, when you build it, they will come.
That's it.
But if there's nothing there, they ain't like, okay, why would I go there? There's nothing. Sometimes you have to go and sacrifice and start building for
And be the
yourself.
creator.
Yes.
Exactly. And we are creative people. Listen, everybody follows our swag, baby. We create
Yes.
everything. We've created everything from language to the way we people move. We are the creators. And so I just want International Sundays is just that. It is a way for us to move out of our own mindsets and see something different. And child, I really appreciate your take. I really, really, really appreciate your take. It's been, I mean, we've been here an hour and 24 minutes. It feel like it was 20 minutes. Jesus. It's just been this is a great conversation. The chat is hot. Kareem, you my man, bro. I can't wait to sit with you. And then I got some of my people here, Monica Cooper. Hey, Monica and Ja, thanks for coming through. And my girl in California. So it's really good because I want this to move through the digital streets. Please like, share, subscribe, people. Send this to your folks. We need to think differently, and you guys and Cha can help you. Global bound consultant, baby. She hustling on the show. Not only is she on here hustling. She does this for a living. She does it for a living. She can help you come up out of these states or wherever you are. You might want to you might be in the diaspora and want to move to another space in the world. So it's possible for black people. It's definitely possible for black women. I'm appealing to black women because we tired, y'all. Real talk.
Definitely. And stop being
We
tired.
tired.
Look, I have a relocation trip that's January 27th to February 3rd here in Kuala Lumpur. A lot of people sleep on Kuala Lumpur because it's not one of those popular, hey, come here, do this, but it's a beautiful place. It is hot. So if you don't like the heat, maybe not for you, but
Yeah, I like heat.
it is, they have plenty of air conditioning places. So I don't know why people be letting heat stop them or rain or anything else when you can
We
go
sun
inside
people. Stop the heat
and
foolishness.
live
We
your
from the
life,
sun.
right?
Yes, we Africans.
Listen, but I'm introducing people to real estate agents, immigration, schools, doing neighborhood tours, also
Oh.
doing some sightseeing. So it's not just business, but it can be business and pleasure. But if you're interested in having an option in Southeast Asia where your money is going to go a little longer and cost of living is going to be down. You can feed a whole family out here in these streets, not even going to the grocery store, letting them cook for you at a restaurant and spend $20, have drinks and food for people. So
Did you
it's
say
not
$20?
$20. I'm telling y'all. And it's good food. It ain't like it's garbage. Like it's like really good.
I
Like
just came from Best Buy. A Snicker bar is $4.
listen,
Did you say a whole
we
family
went
for
out to eat
$20?
last night was five of us. There was pasta being had. There was salads. There were drink. Everybody had a different drink. And the bill came to $30, literally. So
Jesus.
that's how it is going down here, and especially Southeast Asia. It's very cheap to eat. The
And the food is
housing,
fresh. It's
the
not
food is
coming out of a
fresh.
box. Don't tell them
No,
about the food on the
listen.
street. Tell them
Yeah,
about it.
on the street. I'm telling you, you can eat on the street. And I'm not a street eater, but
But you see them
but
cook it.
at the restaurants, you can eat like this. Like you can go to a five-star hotel and eat. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but you could be spending $40, $50, which is what you. My girlfriend just left a Mexican restaurant in DC yesterday, and I heard her paying. She was like, "Oh, but it was 97, right?" I said 97 for two people at the Mexican restaurant. What was y'all had all the sangrias, didn't you? She
That's
said,
how
I have one
expensive it is.
sangria. One sangria, it came to $96. What did y'all
Wow.
have? A whole
Wow.
Mexican feast? Like, stop.
And listen, what is the name of it? Because people might want to come on that what you call your retreat? What you call it?
It's a relocation tour to
A
Kuala
relocation
Lumpur.
tour. So what do they
I'll
come to your
send you the
website? How
link.
do they access that?
Yes, I will send you the link and you can put it in the description or send it out to your people. But actually, you know what? I'm
Give me a
gonna
website. I can put it in the chat so folks
okay.
can
All
look
right,
it up. Give me a website. But listen, guys, again, please open your minds. We don't have to deal with anything that's coming down in America, Trumpy, bumpy, any of them. Oh, she put it in the chat. That's why I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, we don't have to deal with none of this foolishness we're dealing with. If you just want to check out for the next 4 years, call Cha. She can make it happen for you. With your 4 and 15 kids, bring them all. Bring the whole community because we need
Come
it.
on
We
with
need new
it.
communities. So listen, this has been a beautiful conversation. I mean, you've preached to us, honey. You given us you given us Nation of Islam.
It was not planned.
And you're not playing. And you've also showed us what living outside of America can be and possibilities of what Black people need, especially who are in the States. I appreciate you, Kareem, because Kareem has also lit up the chat and told it and didn't hold back.
Absolutely. That's my
And so,
guy.
yeah, that guy is really doing. So I really appreciate this conversation. We're going to do this probably quarterly next year. I love International Sundays because this Diasporan Dialogue is some real talk. We need to see what's going on with Black people outside of the state so we'll know that it's possible. It's literally
Oh, let me
possible.
say this, Queen,
Go ahead, babe.
not to interrupt because I know we bring this to a head, but
Yeah.
I'm also doing a series on my YouTube at Cha Jones. It is called The Global Groove, and it's about African Americans thriving abroad. And I'm featuring the top countries where African Americans are moving, where there's already established community and
Uh-huh.
people are thriving. So check it out. I've already done Colombia, Medellin. I did Lisbon. Tomorrow I'm
Portugal.
doing Thailand.
Mm.
I'm going to circle back to Porto, Portugal. And then we got Costa Rica on deck, as well as
Mm.
Panama. So come check us out. Every week I drop something new. And if you're thinking about, you don't have to move to Kuala Lumpur, is what I'm saying. There are options for you, and there are places where we are already thriving and doing our thing, and you can come incorporate your little self into the into the vibe of what's going on. That's it.
That's it. That's the jewel right there. And I put your YouTube in the chat. Listen, check out Cha Jones. She hot. Cha Cha. Listen, come get some Cha Cha. She doing big business out here. She a hustler. We got a hustler. We got a hustler in Malaysia. I love Black women. We just do it. Jesus, Jesus. But listen, Cha, I just really appreciate you. Shout out to Davina McKelvey. That's my sister right
Yes,
there. Shout out to Davina. Davina, she hooked all of this up, and she's in Malaysia, and we work together. I'm showing out right now. So
absolutely.
yeah. So shout out to Davina. Listen, guys, think about being international. Remember, we are international citizens. I don't care wherever you live. So do not discount the world because you're comfortable in your own world. The world is your oyster. You can do so much. Keep your mind open. We have these here holidays coming up. Love your family, love yourself. Child, we appreciate your candor, your transparency. Little man, what's the little man's name? What's the little man's
Langston,
name?
he'll tell
Langston?
you his name is Langston Hughes right now. I don't know what he's going through, but he says he's a poet and a writer. And
Mm.
okay.
Okay.
I was
Okay,
like, you
Langston.
named after Langston, but you didn't just became him. It's like, yes, I'm Langston Hughes. Call me
Uh,
that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'd rather him be Langston Hughes than to try to be Hulk Hogan. I love it. Langston Hughes will take that. So the little man, he's thriving, 5 years old in Malaysia. You can take your kids and they'll be fine. So listen, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming through, child, and bringing your peoples, Kareem and all your peoples. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. Y'all stay blessed.
Yeah, don't go nowhere. Yo, guys, we out of here. We box up and out. Give us some deuces. We gone. We gone, guys. Good night. Good morning. Good night. All of that.